Good morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? Hope you're all fit and well. It's Wednesday, and this is my last show of the week. I know, part-timer, right? As most of you will be aware, I will be in full lecture mode this time tomorrow, hopefully convincing some justifiably uncertain journalists that social media and live streaming really is the future. And then on Friday, I'm going back to Italy. It's only a few weeks since I was there last, but my need for pizza and pasta is now all-consuming. So I'm making a return visit, and I will do my level best to squeeze in some work while I'm there as well. Now, since I'm going to be absent for a few days, there's a few additional bits I want to squeeze into today's show. And I'm going to start with something that I've pre-recorded. Now, I need to fire it up because it's a larger than usual file. Bear with me 1 second while I find it. Here we go. Horses fans will know that one of Del Boy's many catchphrases was, "This time next year we'll be millionaires." I always thought he lacked ambition. This time next year I'm going to be a billionaire. By the year after that I will have the body of a Greek king. And by 2025 I will have regrown a luxurious mane of hair and have the face of Brad Pitt. Unrealistic? Possibly. But is it any more unrealistic than the latest pronouncement from the Civil Engineering Contractors Association, the Construction Leadership Council, and Construction Minister Nusrat Ghani? Together, they have launched the Zero Diesel Sites Route Map that sets out how diesel will be eliminated from UK construction sites by 2035. Delivery of the route map will apparently put in place support to roll out hydrogen, electricity, and other cleaner power sources, promote early wins by boosting efficiency and cutting diesel use by existing plant and asking companies to reduce the use of diesel generators, help businesses to develop their own company's diesel reduction plans, engage with clients to secure commitments that ban diesel use, and track data on industry diesel consumption to confirm progress over time. But, as with all political pronouncements, the devil is in the detail. Let's take a look at those aims again. Put in place support to roll out hydrogen, electricity and other cleaner power sources. You'll note there is no mention of actually building the required infrastructure. They're just going to put in place support. Promote early wins by boosting efficiency and cutting diesel use by existing plant and asking companies to reduce the use of diesel generators. I thought companies had already been asked, or should that be forced, to reduce their use of diesel. Help businesses to develop their own company's diesel reduction plans. Presumably, this will be in the form of a memo that says, "Oi, stop using diesel." Engage with clients to secure commitments that ban diesel use. Presumably, this will be clients saying, "Please stop twisting my arm, I promise to use less diesel." And the final one, track data on industry diesel consumption to confirm progress over time. Let us all bow to the new diesel police force. Despite the fact that 2035 is just 12 years away, the proclamation makes no mention of the industry's apparent reluctance to embrace electric power machines for anything other than a handful of highly specialised applications. It doesn't mention either that despite commitments to a hydrogen future, no equipment manufacturer has yet produced such a machine and made it commercially available. Nor does it mention that the UK's electricity power supply is already at breaking point, that the UK currently has no hydrogen infrastructure to speak of, that we haven't worked out what to do with spent lithium-ion batteries at the end of their working life, that we don't know the likely resale value of electric machines, let alone hydrogen equipment. Making pronouncements is easy, anyone can do it. Delivering on them is quite another matter. And that's why the statement from the Civil Engineering Contractors Association and the Construction Leadership Council makes no mention of them delivering upon this far-fetched promise. Instead, it has merely set a target that the UK's construction and demolition companies will be expected to meet in a little over a decade. By comparison, becoming a millionaire in a year seems like a perfectly reasonable aim. Thank you, Gary. Let me go back through that, and I'm going to say diesel free by 2035. Bearing in mind where we are today, diesel free by 2035. Is that just pie in the sky? I think it may well be. I've already said Ken Hatcher is going to retire in 12 years. He gets out just in time if that is going to be the end. And I'm going to bring this one back up. Lou Carney. Lou, good morning to you. You might want to check your Facebook. I had a friend request from you this morning. As we're already friends and have been for quite some time now, I think you may have been hacked. Go and take a look, Lou, which is just what you needed to run up to Plant Works now, which is now just a matter of hours away, surely. Just a very quick reminder before we actually get cracking with the show today. My exclusive interview with the new NFDC president, John Lynch, premieres tonight at 7 p.m. If you'd like to catch it, I would recommend watching it over on the Demolition News YouTube channel or on demolitionnews.com itself. I am going to put it on the Demolition News Facebook page as well. But if you're a Diggers and Dozers fan, and there are many, you'll have to go somewhere else to watch it because it doesn't really belong there. Now, without further ado, let me roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show, on the road. Going to say a very quick good morning to Glenn Johnson. Excuse me, Glenn. I'm coughing in the middle of your name. Good morning and welcome. My question of the day, just to be absolutely sure, it is today. Are you a Coke person or are you a Pepsi person? Already had one answer from Ken Hatcher. Coke Zero, Diet Coke by myself, and Lou Carney is already aware of the fact, as she puts it, bloody bastard hackers. Yes, bloody bastard hackers, just at the time when you could need it most. Matthew High, my mate Matthew High is in the house as well. Morning, Matthew. If anybody is interested in, well, two things. I'll be playing in just a few moments the question of the day reminder, which Matthew High actually produced for us. But he also does serious stuff as well. He does lots of very, very fancy 3D animations. Did a fantastic one. If you follow Matthew High over on LinkedIn, go and take a look. You can find him by following me, basically. And he does some fantastic work. He's done a brilliant illustration of how top-down demolition works. Go take a look. I would recommend it very, very highly. And spoken like a true Scot, Gary Muirhead says, Coke if there's no iron brew. Made from girders, if I remember rightly. Now, it is... I've checked. It is Wednesday, the 7th of June. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. We've been going for nearly 10 minutes, and I'm now saying welcome. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, Komatsu forges ahead with his electric adoption. XCMG shows off its mighty XE3000 mining excavator, and we get a sneak peek at JCB's new 403E compact wheel loader. That's electric too. Plus, Liebherr unveils the Configurator. I realise that sounds like some sort of superhero. It isn't, but it's very good. We will also be speaking about the industry becoming diesel-free by 2035, which I've already covered, but I'd like to talk to you about that in the chat, and about the CMA turning its gaze now upon the house building sector. And we're going to get to all of that at some point this morning. But first, let's peer back through the mist of time to see what was happening on this day in history. On this day in 1665, Samuel Pepys wrote of houses marked with a red cross in London's Drury Lane as the Great Plague gripped the nation's capital. Have you ever read Samuel Pepys' diaries? Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Honestly, couldn't recommend it highly enough. We move on. In 1753, Kind George, it's King George II, gave royal assent to the construction of the British Museum It opened just 6 years later. In 1924, George Mallory sadly disappeared just 770 feet from the summit of Mount Everest. In 1975, Sony introduced the Betamax video recorder, the ill-fated Betamax video recorder. And I remember it being ill-fated because my dad bought one and we could basically watch Rocky, and that was it. In 2001, Tony Blair's Labour Party scored a landslide victory. Now, before we get to the real meat of the show, let me remind you of the question of the day, and I'm going to do it using my new computer avatar that was created by my mate Matthew High, who is in the chat at the moment. Here we go. Yeah, that's right. Coke or Pepsi? The question actually started yesterday. I was talking about the benefits of tea and coffee, and you lot were talking about Coke and Pepsi. So I've now made it official. Which of the two do you prefer? I will tell you now that I'm a Coke man. Diet Coke, ideally. Through and through, I am. But if you do like Pepsi, I will do my best not to judge. I'm sure we can still be friends. Let me know in the chat. Now, we're going to come back to all of that at the end of the show, but we do need to actually start the show now. Real electric flavour to today's show. Despite deepening concerns about the true viability of electric machines, some of the world's biggest and best manufacturers are forging ahead in the battle to deliver a suitable alternative to diesel. And among those companies is the mighty Komatsu. Just a few months since I predicted that 10 tonnes would likely be the ceiling for electric-powered machines, and now both Volvo and Komatsu have unveiled machines that are much, much larger than that, thereby confirming what I think we all knew all along. I know absolutely nothing. Next up, we're going to take a look at the new XE3000 mining excavator from those fine folks at XCMG. What is there to say? It's Chinese built and it's bloody massive. Take a look. I can't be certain, but it's starting to look like XCMG has basically kitted out an entire mine with excavators and trucks. And is now just filming them all one at a time. Impressive piece of kit too. And also, like the throat singing, Al Grierson, that one was especially for you. Our next film is short and sweet, and therefore so is my intro. JCB has unveiled a new electric-powered compact wheel loader. It looks like this. Well, apparently our throat singing person on the XCMG thing is going down absolutely blindingly. That XCMG tune is by The Who. The Who? It can't be The Who, because, that'd be Roger Daltrey. The Who, I'm going to go with. Mongolian rock band. Wolf Totem. I didn't even need Shazam for that one. I love them, says Luke Carney. That was absolutely banging, says Al Grierson, who has mentioned the fact that he does love a bit of throat singing, which basically sounds like me when I wake up, actually. XCMG music is a bit White Zombie meets The Devil Went Down to Georgia. That's no bad thing. I like it, says Jim Turner. And Dan Cullen is a fan of the new JCB. Nice compact loader. Totally agree. Now, let me get the thing back on the... As if this thing has tracks. Let me roll one of these instead.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Have you ever, in one of your quieter moments, sat there and thought, I'd love to configure a Liebherr dozer to my own specification. I'd like to choose the tracks and the engine and the seat and the goodies in the cab. Well, as it turns out, your wish is Liebherr's command.
Every construction site is different. Each varies in operation, working hours, and tasks. That also means a workforce and its equipment are constantly changing. With our product configurator for earth-moving and material handling technology on the Liebherr website, we give you the opportunity to personally assemble your own ideally equipped colleague. Whether it's a wheeled excavator, crawler excavator, wheel loader, articulated dump truck, material handler, crawler tractor, or telescopic handler. From the tires to the attachment to service, everything will be tailored to your needs. With vital information on each piece of equipment and how it will benefit you. And completing the picture, your desired special paint finish. Finally, simply download the PDF, send the code to your sales partner, and request a binding quote. And maybe a new team player will soon be arriving on your construction site.
Don't want to place an order, but I do need to find some time to go and have a play with that. That looks like fun. My daily gripes are normally very personal and a little esoteric. It's one which I think the industry can relate to. So, having discovered the UK demolition industry to be abundant in low-hanging fruit, the Competition and Markets Authority is now turning its attention to the house building sector. The CMA recently handed down fines of almost £60 million and secured the disqualification of several company directors. Now, having tasted blood, the CMA is hungry for more. But with its investigation into the demolition industry still fresh in our collective memories, I think we all have a pretty good idea how this will all pan out. The CMA announced in February that it was conducting a market study into the house building sector. That study was designed to understand how the market is structured, the relationship between key participants, and other aspects of the way the industry operates, to establish whether there may be market distortions in the supply of new homes, and to explore and seek to measure whether any of the competition issues lead to consumer harm. So, having lived through the CMA debacle in demolition, here is how I predict this whole thing will pan out. First, the study will be concluded and published by the stated 27th of August deadline. At that time, the CMA will decide to press ahead with a more thorough market investigation. On or around 27th of February 2024, the deadline for publishing that market study report, the CMA will confirm that it has sufficient evidence to press ahead, because that's how they do it. There will then be a period of 2, 3, or 4 years of false storms, much as we had in demolition. There will be deadlines that pass without comment and deadlines that will be marked by a shifting back of the deadlines. And then sometime 3 or 4 years since it first allowed its gaze to fall upon the house building sector, it will announce the details of the wrongdoing. And there will be wrongdoing. The CMA does not do wild goose chases. Then there will be statements on which companies have been found wanting, statements on the level of any wrongdoing. There will be negotiations that companies and individuals turn whistleblower to save their own hides. And I note with interest, just this morning, the CMA has announced that the reward for whistleblowing has now increased to £250,000. I know people that would grass up their own brother for £250,000. Then there will be fines and director bans. Then the CMA will find some more delicious-looking low-hanging fruit in an allied or different market sector, and the whole merry-go-round will start once again. The house building sector is about to endure precisely the same protracted torture that the demolition industry has faced for the past 4 and a bit years. As I said, the CMA doesn't do wild goose chases. Anyway, that's my gripe of the day. Is it a gripe or is it a rant? It's a fine line, but I'd love to hear yours. What is it that grinds your gears, gets your goat, and generally butters your parsnips? The Daily Gripe Therapy session will return on Monday. Not tomorrow, because I'm not here. Not Friday, because I'm not here, but it will return on Monday. And then I'm off to Plantworks with the great and the good and Dan Cullen. Sorry, Dan. That pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning's show. I will roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying today. If you can't stick around for that, then please stay safe, look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. But if you do have the time and the inclination, I'll see you on the other side of this for what is now known as the Craic. But here is a final word from our key show sponsor. Now, as this is my final day of the week, not my working week, but my final day of shows, how about we do something a little bit different with music? Hope you can hear that. Yeah, we're going to get a bit funky. Treat it like a Friday. Funky Friday, even though it's Wednesday. Right, I'm going to rattle back. I tell you what, I'm going to throw this one up first. When will the CMA come from the plant hire industry? Anybody else thinking it's a wonder that it hasn't already? Yeah. Okay, let's go back to the beginning of the chat. Who was first off the mark? Dan Cullen, who is making a habit of being early. He is early to the show. He was first off the mark this morning. And he is going to the preview of Plantworks next Monday as well. Just a couple of days' time. Good luck with that, Dan. Hope you fill your boots. I will be joining you a little bit later in the evening, and obviously I'll be there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday as well. Gary Muirhead was next off the mark. Morning, Gary. Hope you're fitting well, my friend. There is Dan Cullen. I'm dying for plant work now. Cannot wait. No, well, I have the small matter of a couple of days in Italy to get past first. I have to say I'm quite looking forward to that. But yeah, plant works, rubbing my hands together now. Ken Hatcher's in the house. Morning, Ken. Have we decided whether you're coming or not to plant works? I sincerely hope you are. We'd love to catch up with you again. Jim Turner is in the house. Morning, Jim. The music on today's show is dedicated to our friend Jim Turner, as it generally is. Gaz Evans. Gaz Evans, who is currently surrounded by elves, I would imagine. A bit like Santa in the run-up to Christmas, surrounded by elves, putting together beautiful, desirable, aspirational models to put on his show stand at Plantworks. Looking forward to going to see them. There is Dan Cullen saying, happy hump day to all your filthy animals. Home Alone fan, are we? And thank you, Lulu Carney. Yeah, absolutely. Lou has opened the door early for him. There's Al Grierson. As I'm not going to be here, I do need to say for tomorrow, in advance, happy World Al Grierson Day, which obviously is every Thursday, as I'm sure you all know by now. Stephen Guthrie is in the house, and I asked Gaz Evans if he was ready yet. He said, I wish. I can only imagine. Mark Whiting's here as well. Morning, Mark. Thank you for joining us, my friend. Ken Hatcher. Looks like Ken will be out while the whiff of diesel still hangs in the air. Now, let me think. How old will I be in 12 years' time? Blimey. Will I still be doing this? Possibly. Let's be honest, this isn't exactly hard work, is it? I could quite easily do this in my retirement. Lou Carney's in the house. Lou, like Gaz, I would imagine, he's running around like the proverbial blue-ass fly right about now in preparation for the big plant fest that is taking place at the East of England showground in just a few days' time. Good morning, Lou. My apologies. I realise I screw up with the mic a lot, but if I play a video using the usual system, in other words, just to bore you with the details, if the video is less than 200 megabytes, I can upload it prior to the show, press the play button, and that immediately switches off, it mutes my mic, and as soon as the video is off, finished rather, my mic comes back on. However, if I play a video that is larger than 200 megabytes, I have to upload it in a different way. And that doesn't turn off my microphone, which means that you can then hear me coughing, spluttering, typing, possibly farting, whatever's going on in the background. So I hit the button on my new microphone, it switches me off. The problem with all that, as you just learned, I sometimes forget to turn it back on, but thank you for letting me know about that. Right, so my question of the day was Coke or Pepsi? What have we got? Glenn Johnson's in the house. Somebody over on LinkedIn, quite possibly Gary Major, don't know. Ken Hatcher was first off the mark with the question of the day, and his preference is for Coke Zero. That's how he keeps that fine figure of his. Nothing to do with the Friday night pizza, but the fine figure is down to the Coke Zero. Dan Cullen, neither for me. He says they're too sweet. That's the idea. There is Matthew High, the king of all things 3D animation, and also the creator of my avatar, of which I'm extremely proud. Jim Turner, much more laid back. He will take Coke or Pepsi, so long as it's full fat. Okay, Glenn Johnson, he says Pepsi Max. As I said in the run-up to the question of the day, despite the fact that I'm a Coke man through and through, Glenn, we can still be friends. I am a forgiving soul. Question of the day, Gary Muirhead, like a true Scotsman, says, if there's no Iron Brew, then it's Coke. I do like me an Iron Brew. Don't drink it very often, but every time I have it, it's like, I don't know why I don't drink this more often. Yeah. Yes, Gary, definitely Iron Brew, says Jim Turner. Dan Cullen says, can't stand Coke or Pepsi. Mine is Iron Brew or lemonade. There's a big vote for Iron Brew today. JCB might like the diesel free. Well, I mean, JCB, as you've just seen, they do have electric machines. They kind of have hydrogen machines. Has anyone bought one yet? Can you buy one yet? If you did, where are you getting your hydrogen from? Have you got a hydrogen pump near your house, near your site? Probably not. Which is why 2035 seems oddly ambitious. And I thought, were we not all working towards 2050 anyway? Who's decided, shave off 15 years, what's the worst can happen? Morning, Dan. Spare 10 minutes as lifting ops on moving stuff, he says. Stephen Guthrie says, might see now. I realise we're getting away from the Coke or Pepsi, but the lychee flavoured Rubicon. Oh, now that's a treat. If anybody hasn't had that, go find yourself a local. I don't know why, but Rubicon seems to exist only in little corner shops. You don't see it in. You probably do see it in supermarkets. I'm not looking, but you tend to see it in little corner shops. The lychee flavoured Rubicon. Oh, that's good stuff. That is. Luke Carney says, I'm on a self-imposed Diet Coke ban as of yesterday. Looked in the recycling bin, 4 2-litre bottles in just 2 weeks. I have to say, my son and colleague, Fred, could probably do 4 2-litre bottles in about 3 days. That's a whole other story. Morning all, hope you're well. Not long till plant works, says Justin Carrigan. Justin, looking forward to catching up with you. Haven't seen you in an age. But yeah, Justin is from Awesome Earth Movers. I don't know why I have to go through this every time I mention Justin Carrigan. We all know he's with Awesome Earth Movers. We all know that Awesome Earth Movers is, as it says on the tin, awesome. If you haven't seen the magazine, get one. If you haven't seen the Instagram channel, what the hell are you playing at? And if you haven't seen the YouTube channel, then you are probably living in a cave and therefore unable to receive this broadcast, in which case I'm wasting my breath. Justin, good morning to you. Give my regards to the rest of the Awesome Earth Movers team, would you? He's got a bad throat, needs strepsils. I know the feeling. Love the music, and that's one beast, the XCMG. Yeah, I think we need maybe we already have World Al Grierson Day. Maybe we need to make throat singing, Mongolian throat singing, the theme tune of the break. No, probably not. There's more about the throat singing, which we know. The tune is by The Who. I'm definitely going The Who because Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey will be awfully upset if I went with The Who. Tell you my Who story one of these days, if you like. Maybe. XCMG music, bit White Zombie meets The Devil Went Down to Georgia. Devil Went Down to Georgia was a brilliant song. Absolutely brilliant. Charlie Williams Band, if I'm not very much mistaken. Just come into my head. I promise I didn't Google that. I've got it kicking around, probably on vinyl actually, somewhere. That was absolutely banging. Throat singing is popular in the Breakfast Show circles. Dan Cullen likes the new XCMG, the new JCB wheel loader. As do I. Just a little disappointed, and I'm sure there's a perfectly good reason for it. But if you cast your mind back 2-3 years, well, pre-pandemic anyway, JCB were turning out new machines like they were going out of fashion. It was literally, here's a new machine, here's another new machine. When I wrote the book Renaissance, why JCB is the Apple of the digger world, they actually said that they expect to unveil somewhere between 50 and 55 new machines every single year. So it's more than one a week. And yet, just recently, it seems to have gone a little bit quiet. I don't know whether that's because they are just leaking things out like they've done with the JCB 403E, the electric compact wheel loader, or whether they are saving them all up. They're going to do a big launch later in the year. That used to be the case. Watch this space. Looking forward to seeing what JCB come up with next. A massive thank you to Louise Carney for allowing me to come in on Monday afternoon. A privilege. It's a privilege, and a privilege that I've had to turn down so that I can do this. But yeah, go enjoy yourself. It's nice and quiet on the Monday. Liebherr is the Rolls-Royce for excavator for comfort space. Unbelievable. And I'd put Doosan Devellon second. Would you? Would you now? Listen, I am not decrying the Devellon brand one bit. Fantastic machines. If it were down to me, though, my top two would probably be, and it would literally be a toss-up depending on how I feel on a particular day, Liebherr and Volvo. Maybe Hitachi next. maybe Komatsu after that, and then maybe I'm getting to Doosan Develop. I don't drive these machines. I just admire them. I was going to say from afar. That's not true. I admire them up close as well. But that would be my personal preference. Anybody else got any take on that? You know, we did once upon a long while ago. We did an Instagram. I think we did it to coincide with the Football World Cup, and we actually had a World Championships of excavators. And we basically did a draw. So we came up with a list of, I think it was like 12 excavator brands. And we did a draw to play one against another. So we had JCB against Komatsu and Caterpillar against Hitachi and so on down the line. And each day we would do this, and it was decided by public vote. Ultimately, the winner was Caterpillar. Caterpillar, you don't get to be the biggest manufacturer in the world for nothing. I'm sure they make a fantastic excavator. However, I do believe that the results of that were greatly skewed by the fact that we did it on Instagram, and a lot of our following is American. So there were lots and lots and lots of very, very pro Caterpillar and very, very anti anything that wasn't American built. So Caterpillar came out on top. I wonder if I need to look into this. I need to come up with some sort of system whereby we do that. Maybe we'll take a week off from the question of the day, and we will do. I will do a draw, and I will tell you at the start of the show who is playing who. So let's say it's Hitachi against Devolo, and you vote, and the winner goes through to the next round until we end up with just two. And as they say in the movie Highlander, there can be only one. We will take it down to the final vote, and you get to decide who is the world champion excavator manufacturer according to the Breakfast Show. Anybody fancy a bit of that? Let me know. When will the CMA come to the plant hire industry? What I find interesting about this latest pronouncement from the CMA is they are looking at things like not just the house building itself, although I'm sure that will come into it, but it's things like the fact that the industry charges lots of service charges to those buying their houses, and there are maintenance fees, and there's a whole having bought a house off plan, there's a whole raft of hoops that you have to jump through that are largely, it would appear, of the industry's making. So they're looking into that. When you think about the plant hire industry and the way that the plant hire industry operates, and I'm not suggesting for one moment that there is collusion or monopolistic practices taking place here. However, when you look at the way that the plant hire industry operates, given the fact that the CMA has already done demolition, it's now doing house building, it wouldn't take a huge amount to actually say, oh, while we're here, plant hire, let's go have a poke around in that. And as I said in that piece that I did just a moment ago, the CMA don't do wild goose chases. They're like the Mounties; they always get their man. They don't operate on the there is no smoke without fire. They just basically go and nose around until they find some smoke, fire or otherwise. So if they come knocking on the door of plant hire needs to be worried. My gripe today is guys blagging their way on fake-looking cards. Unbelievable. I've had people ask me about getting fake cards. Yeah, I haven't had any for a couple of months now, but I went through a period where I was getting offered fake cards pretty much on a weekly basis, mainly on Instagram actually, and the Instagram account would come up and go, and come up and go. It always appeared to be roughly the same wording and the same images and everything else, but it would come and go, and as far as I can tell, very, very little is being done about it. Our friend Kerry Jones is here, and he is a Pepsi man. I will not hold that against you, Kerry. I will hold against you the fact that you're Welsh, or you're in Wales, but I won't hold against you your Pepsi fascination. Mr. Anthony, I'm looking forward to meeting you and all the other wonderful people Where is Peter McKenna? I haven't seen him this morning, actually. I'll drop him a line, see how he's getting on. Beat you to first spot, Gary Muirhead, says Dan Cullen. Whoever thought that there would be a race? Yeah, whoever thought there would be a race to be on the show first in the morning? And yeah, there is. Cannon Hatcher, I can't see myself retiring, as I love helping and showing new people in construction the right way forward in construction. Do with a few more like you, Dan. And I don't think it's because the industry... I don't think it's because operators like Dan don't want to do it. I think the industry just is quite happy to send wannabe mentors into green pasture and never to see them again. Mick Norton's in the house. Mick, you've missed all the fun. We've been talking about the CMA. We've been talking about aims for a diesel-free future by 2035. You'd have had plenty to say on both. And here you come, rolling in. What time do you call... this is the time when I do that, but I haven't put my watch on this morning. What time do you call this? Good morning, Mick. Thank you for joining us. I can't wait to put faces to your names and accents. Mine's easy. This don't change much, and the accent, as you can probably tell, I've tried. Trust me, I've tried. You can take the boy out of Battersea, but you can't take Battersea out of the boy. No, says Lou Carney. It is pronounced The Who. Pete Townsend is probably writing to the copyright people as we speak. Semantics over spelling, be damned. The Who. How very dare they. Just as I did say that I will tell you the Who story. When I was growing up, I've already just mentioned the fact that I was born and raised in Battersea in South London. I went to a school called St George's School. St George's School was here, and over the road there was an old church hall next door to which there was an old... You know those local shops that you don't seem to find anymore, but this had like a... It was kind of newsagent, kind of mini-mart. It sold pretty much anything. But next door to it was this church hall. So the church hall was the rehearsal space used by The Who. And this was during the Tommy era. So Roger Daltrey had the mane of curly permed hair. Pete Townsend looked grumpy. Roger Daltrey's changed the hair. Pete Townsend still looks grumpy. But the first couple of times anybody saw them, it was like, oh, look, that's Roger Daltrey. That's The Who. After the first 2 or 3 days, not such a big deal. After the first couple of weeks, nobody batted an eyelid. But what I'll tell you is my daughter, Kelly, who won't be watching, but my sister, Kelly, who is 7 years my junior. When I was at school, I was coming out of school and she was in a pram pushed by my mum, and Roger Daltrey was cooing over in her pram, and he had a big medallion around his neck because it was the 70s. People wore medallions in the 70s. And my sister was basically putting white chocolate in his permed hair. He probably still hasn't forgiven. That's my Who story. It's not great, but you know, me and The Who, we've met, you know. What about a Dan Day? Jim Turner Day? A Louise Carney? Oh, Ed, listen, I think you all know by now, every day is Lou Carney Day. I mean, you know, what are you going to do? She's unavoidable, like COVID-19. Only slightly more pleasant. But the Dan Day, yeah, maybe. I did mention, I don't know if anybody else remembers this, I did actually mention gathering together all of your birthdays. So we could actually celebrate your birthdays on your birthday. I think I had one. I think I may have heard from Gary Muirhead. I don't think I got much more than that. A Gary Muirhead Day. Well, you know, like Blue Carney, to me, every day is Gary Muirhead Day. Quite possibly, it's a toss-up, but I think Gary may have edged it. I think Gary has probably watched more of these shows than pretty much anyone. It's a toss-up between him and Ken. And I realise that Gary decided to leave us all behind and jet off to New York for a while. And he came back bearing root beer, which I'm forever grateful for. But he missed a week, but I've got a funny feeling he may just edge it. I'm not sure. If you do, I'm a Monday baby. Okay. It would appear the NFTC meetup with ministers was not as fruitful as one would wish, especially regarding DidCop. What you going to do? What you going to do? Listen, I have been critical for a long time of the NFTC. I will probably continue to do so, even though I do think John Lynch is actually making some very good moves in the right direction. But first and foremost, the very fact that the NFTC has actually got off its backside and gone and met with ministers, fair play. Hasn't happened for quite some time as far as I can tell. The very fact that they've actually been and done it, fair play. They're not going to shift anyone on DidCop because Thames Valley Police, Health and Safety Executive, but the very fact that they actually raised it, I say fair play to them. Everything else about it, not so great. Everything else about it, not so great. But on the, I'm just trying to do this off the top of my head, on the 30th of June, the NFTC are hosting the official opening of their new headquarters. They've been in it for a good couple of months already. I think they actually moved in January, possibly. And they're doing the official opening on the 30th of June. And I am invited. Much to my shock and surprise, I am invited by the President, no less. So I will be going along. And I mentioned that not because I'm getting a fun day out and being treated like a VIP, which I'm sure I won't. But the new office is being opened by the same person that opened the previous Resurgent House in Hemel Hempstead, MP called Mike Penning. I would like to think that the NFTC will continue their relationship with Mike Penning and hopefully get themselves a pet MP to whom they can bemoan their lot. But yeah, was I expecting miracles out of a meeting between the NFTC and government ministers? Not really. But hats off to the fact that they actually did it. Lou Carney says superb, and she's showing me a YouTube link which I can't play from here. I'll have a look after the show, and I think that's because I've just said that every day is a Lou Carney day. Right, so just to recap, I've already said all of this, but I'm going to do it again for those latecomers. Mick Norton, I'm looking at you. No show tomorrow because I am spouting forth on social media and live streaming to a publishing company. No show on Friday because I'll be in Italy. I'll be in Milan. I'll be in Milan on Saturday as well. But then I'm back on Monday to do one final show like this with all of the paraphernalia. And then I'm loading the car up, heading off to the East of England showground. And my entire journey, which will be about 2.5 hours, I will be praying that we have A, decent weather, and B, a good, strong and reliable internet connection. Assuming we get the second of those, this show will be coming to you live from the East of England showground. But I am Wi-Fi. I'm at the mercy of the Wi-Fi. That's the point I was trying to make. So if I can, I will. If I can't, I won't. But what I will do is I will be there all 3 days. So if you are one of the thousands that are actually making the journey to the East of England showground, come look me up. Go look Luke Harley up. Go look Gaz Evans up. Go look up all of the people that we feature on these shows all the time, and let's meet up. Those of you that are in the WhatsApp group, drop me a WhatsApp message while you're there. Tell me where you are, or I'll tell you where I am, and we'll meet somewhere between the two. And the coffee's on me. How about that? Can't say fairer than that. So that's it. That's me done for the week. Not bad, eh? I'm hoping for dull, overcast weather. What kind of ungodly swine are you, Jim? I'm hoping for blazing sunshine on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. What happens either side of that? Really don't care. What I can tell you, though, it's 26, 27 degrees in Milan. Not bad, right? Which I'm going to need because I am taking photographs. Well, I'm taking photographs, but Fred is shooting video while we're there. And the better it looks, frankly, the better. Safe journey to Italy, says Dan Cullen. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, EasyJet out, not bad. Ryanair back. anything could happen. I could end up in Iceland. Who the hell knows? Right, people, go and have a fantastic day. Really enjoyed your company this morning. Just to let you know that my piece on this diesel-free by 2035 will be going out as a standalone video at some point later today, and the piece on the CMA, now turning its attention to house building, that will be going out as a separate video as well. And then finally tonight, 7 o'clock, demolitionnews.com or the Demolition News YouTube channel, you can watch the premiere of our exclusive interview with the new NFTC President John Lynch. And I will just say this one final point. John Lynch as the new NFTC president, I think I'm fairly sure I actually say this in the video, but he, as the incoming NFTC president, he had a choice. He could have given his first interview to Construction News, who would have probably treated him with kid gloves because they want to secure a bit of advertising. He could have gone to another demolition publication to be treated equally with kid gloves because they want to be declared as NFTC media partners. Instead of which, he came to us. And he came to us, even though I have been critical, openly critical, of the ethics and the actions of the NFTC in recent years. He faced down all of that. And if that alone is the mark of his presidency, then I think the NFTC is in pretty safe hands at the moment. That's my point on it anyway. So 7 o'clock tonight, that will air demolitionnews.com or the Demolition News YouTube channel or the Demolition News Facebook page as well. Take your pick. I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you again on Monday. Everybody have a fantastic end of your week. Have a fantastic weekend. See you Monday, and more importantly, I'll see you, if you're going, at the East of England Showground on Tuesday. Till then, all the best.